Wall Street closes up for the day, the sixth consecutive day, and a record-setting Monday. Meantime, one congressional leader calls for multiple stimulus checks. But are they the multiple stimulus checks you had hoped for? And then unemployment boost, FPUC. A new push is underway to go more retro on the unemployment as promised on the campaign trail. Then, what will be happening on the stimulus checks? How soon will they go out? And why is student aid getting incredible push today? $50,000 of student aid forgiveness, the single most biggest forgiveness of the Biden administration from day one. All those incredible great news across the board from Wall Street to Main Street, from my home to your home. This is the most comprehensive financial news you'll have this afternoon on Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LALATE, direct from Los Angeles shortly after 3:30 Pacific Standard Time with big news. Wall Street ended up for the day, ending about 237, the Dow Jones, 52 cents on top of that, about 1% up. NASDAQ up about 1% as well, ending strong, $131.35 up for the day. This is a sixth winning day for the Wall Street, the best record run since August. In this recording, I have a lot of details for you, but make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a subscriber, ensure that you do, because over the next few weeks, you're going to see the power of the purple, the power of this channel to get you a lot of stimulus. Every view of this channel qualifies for rent, utilities, food, internet, and more. I want to ensure that you get it before anyone else. Also, become a member. The member link is at the top of the chat, in the pinned comment, and also in the description. Become a member today and get access to PDFs for items for stimulus before anyone else. And with that, let me get to what I'm covering in today's recording. First, the push for multiple stimulus checks may not be the push that you had hoped for. Then, FPUC is getting a new push, and it's coming from you. More retro and more bold. And why does it have something to do with the minimum wage raise? That's a tongue twister. Then we turn to student aid forgiveness. Another bill is on the stimulus highway, and that's a $50,000 student loan debt forgiveness. It's a lot of money. And finally, the CDC spoke out minutes ago, and the comments may indicate suggestion that, hey, maybe you'll need multiple stimulus checks if this pandemic's not rebounding as quickly as possible. With that, there's so much incredible, great news across the board today. I'm so excited you joined me. Let's get right to the breaking news. The breaking news as you start this LALATE afternoon is the following. A congressional leader, the head of the Ways and Means Subcommittee of the House, says, I want to set out multiple stimulus checks. His plan, $300 a month, starting the month of July all the way up to next year. A $300 check every month from July forward for every child you have. It's based upon a concept of a child tax credit in which you're paid $3,600 for each child from July forward for 1 year. Sound good? Certainly does. $300 a month. Reoccurring stimulus checks every month for $300. Not particularly good if you don't have children, but also not particularly good if you understand that President Joe Biden's stimulus package wants to do something better. Wants to give you all the money up front. Why would you get the money over time? This is a Democratic head of the Ways and Means Committee who simply is using a strange calculator, saying it's a great idea to give you money over time as opposed to giving you up front. Viewers, this channel asked on Mornings LALATE and Home LALATE, would you rather get $3,600 up front or over time? They said up front. Ultimately, this is not the MSC that you had hoped for, multiple stimulus check progress, but it certainly does convey the message that people need stimulus checks every month until this pandemic's over. And certainly not just parents, everyone needs stimulus checks. But later in this recording, I'm going to show you why a new CDC statement today may signal that you may need at least one or two more stimulus checks until now and late summer. That coming up in a second. Wall Street reacted good to the news of stimulus. On Friday, the reconciliation bill passed the House and Senate and became a law. That reconciliation bill sets up a $1.9 trillion stimulus package from Joe Biden to become law. I know it sounds strange because normally when we talk about a bill, it only requires 3 steps. House, pass it. Senate, pass it. President, sign it. Simple, right? Why is there suddenly more steps with this process? Because this was a process to reduce the number of votes needed to get the bill to finality. So the reconciliation bill has become a finality. Behind that bill is another bill tied to it, paperclip to it, rubber band, clamped to it, squungy cord to it. And in that bill is the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. It will become law. It's not a question of whether it will or won't. It will. The question is what day. Pencil in the following day, February 22nd. By law, the bill has to sit in the House of Representatives between now and February 22nd while the subcommittees work on provisions of the bill. Yes, work on provisions of the bill. That is a parenthesis for hashtag FPUC Retro. More about that in a second. And in the next few days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week, they will be working on the provisions of the bill, the language and the words. They've already confirmed their schedule, and I've obtained a copy of their schedule, their work orders. They will be working on those provisions, get it finalized on February 22nd, then send it over to Senate, where the Senate parliamentarian gets it and then says, okay, good, let's go. The one thing that may not go is the minimum wage. What does that mean? Well, it has nothing to do with your stimulus check. Before I get to the minimum wage, let me go over your stimulus check. Every viewer of this channel is going to get a stimulus check. $1,400 an individual. $2,800 a married couple. $1,400 a child. $3,200 adult dependents. If you're on benefits like SSI or SSDI, you will get that same amount. $3,200 adult dependent or $1,400 an individual, $2,800 a married couple, or $1,400 a child. Now, what about the other provisions in there? Well, there is FPUC Retro, only back to January. And the FPUC goes forward to September of 2021, so says Joe Biden. $400 a week. Over 40 weeks is about $16,000 just on FPC alone. That's a lot of money. It goes on top of your PUA and UI, and that could be another $10,000 underneath it. You could see about $20,000, $30,000 of unemployment if you are so unemployed for 40 weeks. Also in the third stimulus package, hazard pay, EIDL grants, rent, utilities. I have detailed that more in the video right after this. Join me then on third stimulus coming up right after this. And then I'm live on What the Chuck shortly thereafter answering your questions. But what's important to understand for the change of what's happening on Monday is that you could have more money available for FPUC Retro. How did this happen? Well, on Friday, President Joe Biden appeared on CBS News and he said, I wrote the bill. I wrote the third stimulus package and I put in there $15 minimum wage and I don't think it's going to pass. So if it's taken out, how much money is freed up? Bottom line, enough to go back on FPUC Retro further. So take this video and go on social media, be as a follower of this channel, The Purple Power, and push and say, you're taking out the minimum wage, we'll spend the money that's now left over on FPUC Retro. We're owed it. We were promised it. And that is what's happening this afternoon. A new Congressional Budget Office report today talks about the impact of a $15 minimum wage in the third stimulus package. It says that it would lift 900,000 people out of poverty. But in the same regard, it would cause the loss of 1.4 million jobs in the United States by 2025. The report said that family income would decrease slightly on the net. Higher wages would increase the cost to employers of producing goods and services. Bottom line, the report says that raise wages, then more people would be unemployed. More people would be employed. Employers would lay people off because their cost of goods would increase and they would have less demand of their goods and hence they would employ less people. Employers would pass some of those increased costs off to consumers in the form of higher prices. And those higher prices in turn would lead consumers to purchase fewer goods and services. Employers would consequently produce fewer goods and services and the result, reduce the employment of workers at the wage levels. What does this mean for you and your stimulus? It means that there could be extra money available to dedicate for other items. The bottom line is that the $15 federal minimum wage could cost a cumulative budget amount of $54 billion through 2031. Well, you take that out of the third stimulus package, that's enough to go further back on FPUC retro. The report says that the amount costing the federal government to put this into the third stimulus package is substantial. It is substantial. And that while there is debate about whether it's good or bad, the clear message to the viewers of this channel is it costs a lot of money to put it in there. And it's likely not to pass. It's likely to get removed. If it gets removed, the bottom line is pass that money over into the FPUC retro program. In the next 3 days, the congressional leaders will be working on the sub-language of the bill, and that sub-language of the bill is where you can modify it. Now, as you sit back here, you understand that 2020 was a tough year. It was. You heard a lot of delays. You heard a lot of excuses. You got burnt, as one viewer said, burnt by the promises that weren't upheld. Well, this is 2021, and it's important to understand that with a Democratic majority of the House, Senate, and the presidency, they're going to do separate bills for separate things. Just last week, we saw the great news. We saw separate bills coming one after another. And if you want a separate bill for your particular item, go on social media and say, push for that separate bill right now. And don't believe that because someone talks about one separate bill before another, it means that that bill is more important than another. Overnight, we saw incredible push for a separate bill for $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. This is huge. This would reduce the total student loan debt balance in the United States from $1.7 trillion to $700 billion. Who would be eligible for this of viewers of this channel? Anyone that has a federal student loan debt of any amount, up to $50,000, no matter how old that student loan debt is or how old you are, and it would be forgiven. It's going to get called for a vote, and it's going to get passed. Chuck Schumer, head of the Senate, along with Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats, introduced the legislation on Thursday, but also pushed the White House for an executive order, which they've been doing since October, as reported on this channel. The plan would cancel out all the debt for 80% of federal student loan debt borrowers. Women and people of color would be the biggest winner. During a time of historic and overlapping crises, which are disproportionately impacting communities of color, we must do everything in our power to deliver real relief to the American people, lift up our struggling economy, and close the racial gap, said Chuck Schumer. Democrats are committed to a big, bold action. This resolution can cancel up to $50,000 of student loan debts as one of the strongest steps the president can take to achieve these goals. Debt cancellation would have a tremendous impact on those most impacted by the pandemic. Black Americans, older borrowers, and recent graduates, says Alexis Goldstein, senior policy analyst for the American Financial Reform, in a statement obtained by LALATE. This bill should make every viewer of this channel excited. Why? Because the author of the bill, Elizabeth Warren, authored the SSI and SSDI standalone bill provision, which she had on her campaign trail, which Joe Biden adopted in his campaign trail and his transition statements. Suddenly you see the people who have advocated for stuff that viewers of this channel have been hoping for are stepping forward. And just because she did student loan debt last Thursday, don't think that she's forgotten about people on SSI and SSDI. This is just one of several bills, including your bill, that she has advocated for. So certainly be prepared and ready to watch and be patient, because now that she has stepped forward with one bill, she's ready to step forward with the other bill. Most of the writings which Joe Biden succumbed to or comprised in his transition statement about SSI and SSDI were Warren writings. They were. And she was the advocate that created the impetus, the $200 a month on top of your existing benefits, the 20% increase, and the new benchmark. She was the person who wrote these things. He agreed to them and then repeated them during the campaign trail after she bowed out of the campaign and said, I agree with Senator Warren. And then they became part of his transition statements. So don't presume that you have been put aside. Oh no, this is very exciting news. Suddenly you're seeing one after another. I understand that the stimulus check is being done first because millions and millions of Americans need the stimulus check, including every viewer of this channel. $1,400 an individual, $2,800 a married couple, $3,200 adult dependents. Everyone needs that stimulus check. This is the fastest way to get that check out. It could become law by end of February. That's the fastest way to get the check out. Once they have the check out and everything involved with the check, like FPUC, like hazard pay, like rent, like utilities, like food, or as viewers as shall qualify for 5 items: rent, utilities, food, internet, childcare, and stimulus check. Then they can start doing all these other bills. And that is exciting, great news with the seated today. Meantime, what about multiple stimulus checks? Yeah. There's now belief that multiple stimulus checks could actually be possible. Why is this happening? Because a new statement from the CDC's director today, obtained by LALATE, that says that the new strains of this virus are not good. You know this. I've been detailing. It's been 2 weeks since I told you that in Baltimore, an individual came down with the South African variant. Well, the CDC chair under Biden today said the continued proliferation of the variants remain a big concern and seeing the threat that could reverse the positive trends that we've seen. She's referring to lower hospitalizations. That's a positive trend over the last few weeks. Please continue to wear a mask. So what does this mean for you? What it means for you is that when the pandemic hit and spread throughout January of this year, Joe Biden wrote the $1.9 trillion stimulus package based upon no variants. That's why there's one stimulus check in there. Now we have the South African variant and we have the UK variant. A new report obtained by LA News, detailed to you over the weekend, says that by March next month, the number one strain of the virus in the United States won't be the current one, but the UK variant. And this is as millions of Americans still not vaccinated. Millions of Americans don't even have the boost for any other strain of the variant. And then in May, the number one strain will be the South African variant. It says the South African variant and the UK variant are growing substantially, especially in California and Florida, regularly. And so with that, if this economy is not fully vaccinated, if this economy is not fully back to normal, if numbers go negative from where they are, which is what most analysts anticipate as to the surges of these strains, you'll need not only one more stimulus check after this one, after third stimulus, but 2. And that could be coming by the summer. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you do. Coming up next on Third Stimulus, I go over the items in the third stimulus package, and I'll be going over more of what Wall Street's reacting to and the excitement of the third stimulus package coming to you finally. Make sure you subscribe. Also like this video. And stay informed, stay focused, and also make sure you consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcium VIP. Always stay positive and always stay focused because ultimately, the money's coming to you. And I'll see you next on Third Stimulus.